Welcome back to another painting video. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this abstract, fun, colourful painting using only 3 colours. For supplies, I have a 6x6 canvas which I painted with Prussian blue and black. I'm using ultramarine, Quinacridone magenta and white for my colours. I have 3 brushes, a fan brush, an angled brush and a cat tongue brush. If you don't have these, the fan brush is quite important, and for the other 2 brushes you can use a flat or a pointed brush, it's fine. I also have a makeup blending brush. This is quite important because we're going to be doing quite a lot of blending out a spray bottle. So starting off, I'm using a dry fan brush and I'm just slowly dipping it into the white, magenta and also the blue. And what we're going to be doing is I'm holding my brush from at the very end. You don't want to be holding it too close to the tip. And I'm kind of just going forwards and backwards with my fingers. I'm twisting my fingers around the brush to kind of give this swirling round effect. I mean, there's no name for it. It's just, I don't have a name. So it's just kind of that idea. You're kind of doing these squiggles and lines. I just think they look so cool. And I love creating movement in my paintings. And I think when you're creating something that's abstract, have fun with it. So you can copy the way I'm doing, or you can do it in a way that you think would look better or more to your preference. Absolutely fine. Please make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be posting videos every week, and give this video a like. It really helps support me as an artist on here. You want to make sure that you've got enough paint at the tip of your brush. So I'm trying very hard not to put paint all the way into my brush, but really keep it at the tips so that you get a lot of paint on your canvas. Otherwise the brush is just going to drink all the paint and you're going to get these very faint lines with not a lot of color. So this is the first layer kind of done, and what I'm doing now is I'm going in with the makeup brush, starting to blend out the colors. Now, if your canvas is very, very dry, you're going to want to lightly spray it with some water just so that it can actually move. Acrylic is a very fast drying medium, and if your canvas is fully dry, the paint's not going anywhere. It's not going to move, it's not going to budge, it's not going to blend. So we need to make sure that we're continuing to keep an eye on how wet the canvas is. And if you see it getting a little bit dry, you want to spray a tiny little bit of water, and that's going to allow it to move. I've also gone in with some Prussian blue on top, which is what I originally painted the canvas with. So to start off, I painted the canvas with Prussian blue and black just to get a base to have a dark background. What I've done is I've gone in those dark parts again, and I've added some Prussian blue, and this is to just add a bit of darkness back into it and also allow the paint to still be wet so we can work the colors together. It looks like all the paint is kind of getting smushed together, but don't worry, we're working in layers, we're slowly building everything together. So we have a small map of where we first went with our colors, and now grab your fan brush and we're going to go again and add some more color on the top. Now the great thing is that we have a fresh layer of Prussian blue, so it's going to blend more seamlessly this time because it's now not just the background underneath, but actually fresh paint that we've put onto the canvas. So just add some more lines and swirls in whatever direction you want, and once you're happy with it, we're going to go again with the makeup brush to blend it out. At this point, I'm just blending again. And I mean, you can spend a long time blending. It really depends how many layers you want to be going for. So you can kind of see I'm repeating the steps of adding the color with the fan brush, blending it out, going back in with the Prussian blue or some black, and then going back in with more of the color. This is just to build depth, because if we stick with what we had on the first layer, the overall look is going to be quite flat, and I'm all about let's build some dimension. Okay, this is what we're here for. We want to build a painting that when you look at it, it's got layers through it, and you can almost see those layers being built, you know, slowly by slowly, brick by brick. So that is the aim that I'm going for. And so you can kind of freestyle this. It's really up to you to decide when you want to stop or if you want to keep on going. It is quite a lengthy process, but the end results are really pretty. So now on the third, fourth layer of the colors that we're adding together, we're getting there. Slowly kind of happy with it at this point. I just wanted the colors to kind of pop through, which is why I'm using a lot of white, because the white is going to lift any of the magenta and the blue out, and it's going to really pop on top of the black and the Prussian blue. Just play around and have fun. Honestly, the whole reason why I paint abstract and why it is the way that I paint now compared to previously is because it is so freeing. There's no right, there's no wrong. You do what you feel like you want to do and kind of work with your own intuition. So for me, this feels like it looks right, and I enjoy the way it looks in the process. So that is why I continue painting the swirls in that direction and using these colors, because they work together really well. So it's very freeing and just allows you to explore creating without the harsh lines and boundaries when you're creating something more realistic. Moving on to the next part, which is grabbing my cat tongue brush and adding these little white dots. I was very inspired by some galaxies recently because I had been looking at a lot of photos of space, and I kind of wanted to incorporate that feeling of the galaxy into a more floral and abstract piece. So I'm going around and I'm just kind of buffing them out slightly so that I can get this kind of glow effect. And then once you feel like you have enough little white glowing dots, I'm going in now with some white and magenta, and I pick these up with my brush without mixing them together so that we're getting multicolored strokes. And I'm now kind of going in the direction of the lines that we've put before in the other three layers, and I'm adding some strokes everywhere and anywhere that I feel like it looks good. So this part is really fun. You just let loose and do as many or as little as you like, and just keep going until you feel like you're happy with how it looks. And then taking some white, I'm just now kind of creating these little lines going through all the pieces. So I'm taking some of the magenta, taking some of the white, can even pick some up the blue. So I'm creating a few more strokes to kind of accentuate the movement of the painting. So wherever the lines are, I'm kind of following and creating curves and straight lines. This is just going to add and further bring out the structure of the painting. Now, still using my cat tongue brush, instead of doing these long and swirly lines, I'm now doing these very tiny short strokes, and I'm filling any gaps in between the petals, and this is going to add so much volume and again another layer to the painting that is going to create some interest when the final piece is done. Now using a much heavier hand, I'm picking some up the magenta and the white, and with my cat tongue brush I am taking it and really pushing it down onto my canvas so I get a very large and heavy stroke. We have a lot of small strokes and tiny petals, and you want to kind of contrast that with something that is a bit more large and bold. Now, you don't want to do too many of these because this can very quickly take the focus away from the whole painting. So you really want to make sure that you do just enough but not too much. So definitely stop before you think you should, because you don't want to risk doing too many and then we can't take that away. Now, going on top of where we did those little glowing circles, I'm now going on top with another layer of white, and again I'm slowly buffing them out to just further make the glowing effect a little bit more opaque. Using the fine tip of your brush, we're now just going to add very tiny amounts of tiny little white dots. This is just to kind of replicate some stars in the galaxy. So I thought the glowing stars were kind of big and large, and again I just wanted to contrast that with something smaller and more delicate. With your wet brush, you want to make sure it's nice and wet. I've taken some white and a little bit of the magenta, and I'm now going to tap that against another brush and go again on top of the dark spots, adding these little sprinkles, I like to call them. They're just such a fun way to finish the painting, and I think they look really cool. I really hope you enjoyed today's painting. I think it turned out so well. Don't forget to subscribe and like. My next tutorial will be this Tuesday. Make sure you have your notifications switched on so you don't miss it. Happy painting and see you next time.